think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem been better. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me. Might smoke bed heavy, got a whole agenda. Can't aspire to get ahead, so bump that, it's no surrender. Got a dollar flipped up, I'm trying to get it an FT to get them when they're in hand and crypto. Learn how to fix that. I don't really hold out of books, but I'ma learn how to fix that. Some opportunities and never come unless you paying attention, so no, I can't miss that. Moving, MVP, I got the record, I might have to pro something. Big jumper worthy, they gon' have to retire my jersey early. Whole crew coming, had to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket, yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits, yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no ends, yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen, putting hours in my practice, I did all that. Yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my big dog, walking big talk, young veteran, living legend, bet I'm better than them, this is my ship, I'ma jack it like Letterman, y'all better not let them in, they gon' rotate this, so I keep the pedaling, started a chain, the cycle is heaven sent, this is from God, but I'm not your reverend, not in the pulpit, I'm a big bull in this element, yeah, said you gon' pull up then settle it, yeah, I've been married to this hustle, this is my ring, watch out step in it, yeah, and I ain't even got a yard, but I'ma get it here, watch out touchdown, pulling plans out the clutch, everybody getting crushed, the cut down is for us now, have to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket, yeah, I did all that, big plans, partners trying to make profits, yeah, I did all that, work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no ends, yeah, I did all that, had to make it happen, putting hours in my practice, I did all that, yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs, yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my, yeah. Run it, I can't take no loss, I don't even know what it costs, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, I can't take no loss, I don't even know what it costs, yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem been better. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me. Might smoke bed heavy, got a whole agenda. Can't aspire to get ahead, so bump that, it's no surrender. Got a dollar flipped up, I'm trying to get it an FT to get them when they're in hand and crypto. Learn how to fix that. I don't really hold out of books, but I'ma learn how to fix that. Some opportunities and never come unless you paying attention, so no, I can't miss that. Moving, MVP, I got the record, I might have to pro something. Big jumper worthy, they gon' have to retire my jersey early. Whole crew coming, had to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket, yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits, yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no ends, yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen, putting hours in my practice, I did all that. Yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah, I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, run it, ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.
Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. He is Jason, the chosen one. I am Greg, a legend in my own mind. Oh, man. Wow. We had a big fight last night, Jay.
Just here,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were just here, man. Probably like less than 12 hours ago, right? No.
Yeah. Something like that, about 16.
No. 16.
Something like that.
Yeah, But yeah, of course, we need to hop into this very quickly and talk about the people that support the channel. Rock Dog Interactive, if you need anything relative to a website design, logo design, if you're doing anything in regards to Bitcoin or any kind of electronic currency, if you will, Rock Dog Interactive, they can help you out in that area. Excellent folks. They're the ones that help us out with our setup, our design. They are instrumental in that, so make sure you go check them out. And then Black Father Figures, that's the Legal Legacy. That's our guy. And he is doing wonderful work in the community for Black fathers. God, we all need Black fathers, man, I swear. Because I was almost about to say something that somebody would probably say was sexist, so let me not say that. And then Nadaj vodka. Nadaj vodka, the best tasting vodka I've had over the last, I'm not even a vodka drinker, Jay. I love Nadaj vodka. Triple distill, got that kiwi taste to it, and they are black owned, ladies and gentlemen, out of Jacksonville, Florida. You can find them in select stores within Florida, but you can always find them online. So go check them out, www.nadajvodka.com. All right, Jay. So now that we've done that, we got to see who in the building, and it looks like it's only John Mack. We got 16 people in the building, 3 likes. Please smash the like button, folks, so other people can find this content. And Jay, let's go ahead and hop into it.
Yeah, I think we ran a ragged last night doing the fight party, man. You probably feeling tired like me too, but yeah. No, speaking of last night, it was a couple of fights last night. That went on. Top Rank had their card and DAZN had their card pretty much going at the same time. B House, what's up, man? So in a good matchup last night on paper, Devin Haney, Regis Prograis. The odds we kept looking at the odds. The odds, it was 3-1, and almost got to 4-1. Haney versus Regis. I'm sitting there like, I think it's a close fight than that. Just because I wasn't sure how long Dev would stick to the game plan. Thought he might get out of nature or out of the game plan and get stopped, get caught. Didn't happen. Devin went 12-0. Hey, John Mack, I hope you didn't take a beating like that, like Regis took. Devin shut Regis out last night in a spectacular fight by Devin, showing his skill set, showing that he was disciplined, showing that he had power because he dropped Regis several times and had Regis hurt several times in the fight. Didn't get him up out of there, but he stepped to the game plan. You can see he didn't really press on it to get him up out of there. Because I think if he had pressed, he probably would have got him up out of there. Because the referee kept going to Regis' corner, checking, hey, you okay? You okay? Also, they set a record last night, Greg. I don't know if you knew. But Regis set a record for the least amount of punches landed in a 12-round championship fight. He only landed 36 punches on Devin. And I remember last night when we were doing the live, I kept saying that, like, damn, Dev going to the club after this. He didn't even get touched. He really didn't get touched. 36 times, and I think Regis threw almost 330-some punches. I saw some people trying to do a false equivalency to De Los Santos and Shakur. Devin actually landed punches. Shakur didn't land punches. Neither did De Los Santos. So that's a huge difference between those two fights there. But Devin handled business, man. Regis was trying. He just couldn't get there. His bad footwork or lack thereof was a tremendous reason why he couldn't get there. And Dev's just superior boxing skills confirmed that, along with Dev hurting him. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that fight last night, man?
Yeah, it played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. For those of you who were on the live stream with us last night, Jason and I actually talked about this. We talked about what our picks were, and we were actually in our group chat where we were talking about how we thought the fight might play out. And Jason mentioned that he believed that, or he had a feeling that Regis was going to pull this one out. That he was going to knock Devin out.
Tummy hurt.
Yeah, and I asked him. I said, why? And he said, he just felt like Devin seemed to be underestimating everything about Regis Prograis. And, of course, I noticed that as well. And that's always a situation that could, backfire on you when you think that you're so much above and beyond another fighter. And but Devin and even with Bill Haney, clearly they knew something. And I just looked at the overall stylistic matchup, Jay. I looked at what I saw from Regis Prograis in his last fight against Zorilla. When you look at Devin Haney, his style, I just felt like Devin Haney was going to be too long for him in terms of just his reach. He was going to stick to the game plan, throwing that jab out there. He was going to look for opportunities to counter. And Regis just couldn't catch up with him. Regis didn't have the footwork to catch up with him. He mentioned that after the fight, talked about a little bit about how he needed to get back into the lab and work on his his ability to catch up with fighters and his footwork and things of that nature. And, we heard from someone who was an expert in the sport of boxing, Timothy Bradley, that everybody believes in. Everybody believes what he says because he was able to pick the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford winner. And he picked Regis Prograis. And the reason why I go there, Jay, I'm going there for a reason, is because I'm so sick of people in the comment section who believe and act as though they are 100% experts on the sport of boxing. You are not. We are not. People who have actually fought in the ring get these picks wrong, because to the point that Timothy Bradley actually made, we all have biases. Whether we believe it or not, we have a bias towards a specific style of fighting, a specific fighter. We don't like this guy as much as we like this guy. We find reasons to believe that this fighter will win versus that fighter. And sometimes even the most objective people will pick a fight incorrectly. So we see the folks in the comment section, you don't know shit about boxing. They're telling other people they don't know shit about boxing because they've gotten one pick right. In reality, they probably have gotten several picks wrong as well. And I just want to highlight the fact that Timothy Bradley, this is the second fight in a row that he's gotten incorrect. He was incorrect with Bubo Andrade, and he was incorrect with this fight as well. So just because you have been in the ring, just because you don't have on a suit and tie or whatever the case may be, a suit and tie individual that's, in front of everybody and giving your prediction, or you're a fighter or you're a trainer or whatever, they all get them wrong because you have to fight the fights and you have to play the game.
I agree with that. Like, I was really when people try to start cooking me, go, you pick Regis. I'm like, I picked Regis because I said I had a feeling. But I said I wouldn't be surprised if Devin won by UD, which I figured he was going. I just was surprised by the fact that Devin actually hurt Regis the way he hurt Regis in that fight multiple times.
I wasn't surprised.
That's what I was surprised by. It wasn't. The thing about it is, it wasn't just like it was the punch. It's like Regis saw the punch coming. So, you know you can kind of brace yourself out, absorb them better. He saw it coming, just round the face and fell, but did the stanky leg. That's what got me. I was like, damn. I'm like, okay. And Regis, he said at the interface, he's like, yeah, Dev was quicker. He didn't have like the concussive type power. He has like the sneaky power that that stings you kind of. And that's what it stung Regis every time. I give Regis props for making it through the fight and not wanting to stop. He's a tough dude, but I don't know if Regis can do anything at this point in time just because of his age. As far as him being 34, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. He started boxing late, yes, but he's also older. So he's already. It's hard. I don't know if how much he can change as far as skills. You know what I'm saying? We know Regis is a dog. We know he's tough. We know he can punch, but being flat-footed, not having the footwork, that's number one. That's the number one thing, the foundation. And his foundation is cracked. His teeth. I think he's too old to have it all torn down. But I still think he can get some good fights just because of how tough he can be in that ring. And being a southpaw and being powerful, it can be interesting fights on certain other fighters.
It's over.
Devin is definitely on a different level.
Yeah, it's over.
He said it's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. Dog. And we did a video on this, so I'm not going to go too in depth in this because the video is probably going to drop tomorrow. But those guys that are at 135, they are a lot better than what we had. Because, Jay, you remember this. Man, 18 months ago, we were talking about these guys that were at 135 called the four Kings. And the thing about it was they were being questioned because none of them had really fought each other. And we've seen now Ryan and Tank fight each other. Of course, Tank won that fight. We've seen Teofimo go up and be dominant at 140. Now we just saw Devin move up and be dominant at 140. So clearly these guys at 135 are either great or the fighters that were at 140 were overrated. It's one or the other. Now, we'll know a little bit more when we get some more data points because we need to see what Josh Taylor looks like after he comes back, and we need to see what Regis Prograis looks like when he comes back. But right now, you have to lean toward those guys that were at 135 are just really elite fighters, and that is the reason why we need to see those guys in the ring sooner rather than later. And that probably will transition us into another topic, Jay, because we heard what Bill Haney said last night, and I don't know if you want to bring it to the people, but what were the comments from Bill Haney last night? Jay, you there?
Yeah. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So, Bill Haney had a lot to say last night, as always. But one of the things he talked about was calling out Tank, saying Tank don't want to smoke.
Yeah.
Saying, Tank been fighting, subpar competition, which some people have been will agree with that statement there. And he hasn't been fighting his best competition, but charging people the fullest amount for his fights. So he talked about that and saying that, whenever a fighter fights Haney, they get their biggest payday. I'm like, you can say the same thing for Tank as well. So that's the same thing that Tank does. You fight Tank, you're gonna get your biggest payday. But I hope Bill's making it seem like they're in the driver's seat in this fight against Tank, and I'm like, you're not. Yeah, you've been more accomplished wise as far as your resume and what you did at 135 and even going to 140, but you're not in the driver's seat on that. Tank is still the A side. He's the A side on that. Tank and Canelo are the only two people that are in boxing right now that can call the shots against basically anyone. And if you want to fight them, you gotta go by their rules and their rules only. So hold up. Motorsports snob, man. Don't put that out there about Dev.
What he said? Oh, Devin Haney was on. No, man. This is it's an interesting topic because you can see like that great divide between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney fans, and some people that are not even really Devin Haney fans. Maybe they're just not all that big of a fan of Gervonta Davis. In regards to Tank and fighting opponents that are not up to par, but charging them a great deal. I mean, if you're a draw, you're a draw. It is what it is. You can't be upset with Tank because he's a draw and he can charge a certain amount. That's basic economics, dog. Supply and demand. You don't like it, increase the demand for your product, and you'll be able to do that. You don't think those guys would do that if they had the opportunity to do so? So I want to hear that. Supply and demand, get your business up, and you don't have to worry about that. Now, if you're arguing whether or not Tank has fought the best competition that's out there, man, there's an argument for that. I mean, I think Ryan is solid. He has some other wins on his resume that are good wins.
Pedraza was a good win at the time.
Yeah, Pedraza was a good win at the time. That's the name I was actually trying to think of. But outside of those two names, it's not great. Leo Santa Cruz is a good name on his resume, but not necessarily the best name or one of the best names because he was moving up. But I've heard Tank say that he's looking to get into the ring with both Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. Those two individuals. We heard Leonard Ellaby also mentioned that they were willing and able, or Tank wanted those fights. And I believe he wants those fights, man, because at the end of the day, those are going to be the fights that brings him the most money. So I believe he's going to make those fights at some point. We made a video not too long ago stating that he needs to fight one of those guys at I don't know, at 40 maybe or 35, depending on who the opponent is that he chooses. But he needs to do that in 2024 to keep that momentum going. Ryan Garcia, that was great. I'm not saying that he needs to, fight either one of those guys next, but he needs to fight one of them, right, dog? Like, we want to see him in the ring with the best. And I favor Tank over Shakur and Devin. T.O., stylistically, I don't know how that fight would work out. That would be an interesting one. But those are all big fights that Gervonta Davis can make and that he should make. I'm not at a space right now where I'll say, because this whole thing about Tank avoiding Devin Haney, and I like Bill Haney and those guys. And I want to preface my comments by saying this. I like the way that they're moving. I like the business that Bill Haney is conducting right now. I think they're being very smart and strategic in what they're doing. I also think it's strategic after the fight to start calling Tank's name, right? Devin is not going down to 35. Tank has already said he's not going up to 40. So the realm of possibility in terms of that fight happening, it doesn't exist. That's not a possible fight right now. So he knows that, and we know that, and I think people that follow the sport actually know that. That fight's not going to happen. So I think a lot of that is just posturing and using Tank's name as a platform to put your name out there, so forth and so on. I think I don't even think Devin's going to stay I think Devin's truly going to try to figure out a way to go to 47. I think Devin, who are the champions right now? Well, Terence Crawford is the champion right now, and then you got Jaron Ennis. If if Terence Crawford were to drop the titles, who becomes the number one fighter at Boots will be the number one fighter at 47 at that point. He'd be the IBF champion. Stanionis will be the WBA champion. I think he avoids both of those fighters. Then who's the number one contender for the WBO title? I know Rocha was, but he got knocked out here recently. So who's the number one contender at the WBO right now?
WBO, let's see.
And the WBC, I don't know who the WBC would be either, but I'm thinking that they're waiting to see how that all.
One. Oh, for WBO it's still so Rocha was there, so it would be it might be Crowley or Giovanni, because Giovanni beat Rocha.
Yeah, I think
they hasn't updated their side right now, because right now it's Rocha, Crowley, Rashidi, Spence. That's what it still shows for them.
Yeah,
it's been a minute since they updated theirs.
Yeah, Band Up said I thought he wanted Keith. I don't think he really wants Keith. I think what they're going to do is survey the landscape. That's why they didn't mention anything about it last night. They didn't say a particular fighter. They're going to survey the 147-pound landscape, and what they're going to do is try to see if it all shakes out with a champion who is a favorable matchup for Devin Haney. Something similar to Regis Prograis. I really do believe that. I don't think there's any real desire to get into the ring with the best at 47. So, we'll see what they do. But this whole thing with Tank and talking about Tank and saying Tank, bringing up his name, these guys aren't going to fight, man. They're not going to fight. Not right now. Yeah. They're not.
Yeah. I mean, but to your point about 147, I know people thinking like, oh, well, 147, it's kind of lost its mystique as far as, the killers aren't there. Bud's no longer going to be there. Spence is no longer going to be there. Virgil Ortiz is no longer there. You still got Boots there. You still got people. Emmanuel Stanionis is still there. So they still got some fighters there that can fight. And it's no guarantee that that Devin could just move up to 147 and just start cracking people at 147 as well. I think things start getting a little murky how he goes as well. I know Devin is killing himself to get down to 135. When he was doing that, when he got down to 140, he had to get basically butt booty naked from what he said, from just to make the 140 mark. So he may be big for the weight class, but the other fighters at 147 are big for their weight class too, more than likely. So for him picking out and mentioning Keith Thurman, that's understandable. Keith has been inactive, for a long time on that, but Keith has experience, and they'll be equally matched probably in as far as height and reach. He might actually have a reach advantage over Keith. I think he might have a reach advantage over Keith, but they'd be more equal. Now, someone like Boots, who's young, hungry, has power in both hands. I don't know if Devin wants to just go straight to that, but if he did that, I give Dev nothing but respect, because that's what he's been doing. Dev has been on his route. The way his path has been over the last 4 or 5 fights has been tough. He went over to Australia to fought Kambosos twice. Not saying Kambosos is the toughest fighter out there, but you're going to his side, his town, and you gotta beat the champion. And everything when you go to across the pond and fight in their country, it's gonna be tougher for you to get that win. He handled business twice over there. Then came back over here and beat Yoloma, and just went up to 140, no tune-up, fought the boogeyman, quote unquote, other than Sabir Matias at 140, and dominated Regis for 12 straight rounds. So I give Dev credit on what he's been going, but 147, man, I'd rather see him. Honestly, I'd rather see Dev at 140, because there's some great fights at 140 for him. Great fights, some big money fights at 140 for him too as well.
Yeah, so I see Jay in the building. Jay is one of the biggest critics of Gervonta Davis. He's saying glorifying sales instead of chasing legacy. I think you can do a combination of both of them, Jay. They all glorify sales. Devin Haney said last night he's trying to make the biggest and best fights for the most money. The caveat is always the most money. If you ask any of those guys which one do they prefer, the legacy or the money, they're going to say the money. So I get it. Tank does I don't disagree. Tank needs legacy defining fights, or he's going to be remembered for just being a high profile name. I don't disagree with that. Floyd had legacy defining fights. He did both. You can do both. And most fighters are going to try to do that is because it makes good business sense. And Devin's doing the same thing. Devin is just being strategic. Like what Devin did is no different than what Tank did with Barrios. And to be honest with you, now that I think about it, Barrios' win is looking a lot more impressive for Tank than it did back when he actually did that. But you're looking at a guy that's up in weight that matches up favorable with you, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, but let's call it what it is. Like it's legacy defining, but at the same time, it's you're being very strategic in how you pick and choose the things that you know will go into the record books, but wasn't necessarily as dangerous as maybe something else. Like for instance, and I mean 2020 is hindsight, and I know you guys may feel this way, but which one would have been more impressive? Devin facing Shakur Stevenson, and I know he can't make the weight, but Devin facing Shakur Stevenson or Devin facing Regis Prograis? Which one would have been more impressive? If give Shakur a little bit more money so he'll make the fight. Which one is more impressive? So, but he'll be a 2-time champion by beating Regis Prograis, a fighter that was basically tailor-made for him. But beating Shakur Stevenson or fighting Shakur Stevenson and having a higher risk of losing, that's not as appealing. So one would have been a bigger fight for him to actually win, but he still went the other route because he knows on paper that's still going to look good. And that's no knock to Devin Haney, but he's being strategic. I mean, do you disagree with that, Jay?
No, they're definitely being strategic on that. You know, I was just getting caught up in the chat. People talking about who Tank might be fighting next, and I damn sure don't want to see Pitbull Cruz for Tank for his next fight. I don't either. That. I mean,
I don't want to see that.
That's a fight no one's asking for. Just like the Canelo versus Jermall Charlo was a fight no one was asking for. You know, we don't want to see that. You know, even if Tank wants to tune up, he can get a tune up. I don't want to be him. I still don't want it to be Cruz because we saw that first fight. And I think it gets worse.
I got a question. I'm probably going to turn this into a poll sometime tomorrow, but I got a question. For those of you who are in the chat right now, number one, if you haven't hit the like button, smash the like button. Guys, we got 73 people in here and it's 19 likes. Hitting the like button is free, guys. It's free. Hit the like button for us so people can find the content. But I got a question for you. So who would be an acceptable opponent for Gervonta Davis at 135 right now? Because we know it's not going to be Shakur. We know Shakur. Let's take Shakur out of it. If Tank wanted to fight, let's say Loma or Kambosos or Frank Martin, would any of those fights be fights that would be satisfactory to the folks that are Gervonta Tank Davis detractors in the chat? I'm curious. Jay, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Any of those opponents would be acceptable? Or let's add William Zepeda. Would William Zepeda be an acceptable fight?
Give me Frank. With Shakur being out of the equation, give me Frank or so I take Zepeda as well, although Zepeda's just been avoiding other people. But I want the Frank out of those because I know Kambosos, no one wants that. Loma, this ain't the same Loma. Loma's already been beaten, and Loma has been a long way off, and I just don't see that happening either. But for me, give me Frank. Give me Frank. Frank, they're the same age, although Frank didn't have an extensive boxing career, but they're the same age roughly. I think they're both 28. That'll give you the fight that I would want to see, and then he could catapult himself to the next fight against, whether it's Shakur or moving up to 140, which I doubt he's going to do next year. I would love to see him move to 140 and go ahead and fight other fighters because that's where a lot of heat is at on that. But I don't want to see him fight Kambosos. I don't want to see him fight Loma at this stage. I'd rather give me that Frank fight, and then if I have to, I'll settle with the William Zepeda. I just don't want the Pitbull Cruz fight. That's what I don't want. I don't want to see that.
No,
and you know me, I'm a big Tank fan.
Hey Jay, I get what you're saying, but Jay, that's not just a Tank thing. That's all those fighters. Like the business has to make sense for all those fighters. Now I would say this: Shakur and Tank will probably make make money, but I don't think it's at the peak of where is gonna draw the most. And I'm gonna tell you something. Their handlers on both sides are gonna say that. Right? There's a reason why Shakur Stevenson doesn't have a whole lot of energy. Like Shakur, he's the biggest name in that division. You don't hear Shakur like really like coming at him and coming after him like he was coming after Devin. He was coming after Devin. So Jay, if you got that energy for Tank, you gotta have that energy for Shakur too. He say stuff like, yeah, I think, you know, that'll be a fight and that'll be a big fight, but you know, he's the name, so because he's the name, I just gotta wait for him. That's putting all the onus on Tank to say, no, it's not my fault if the fight's not happening right now. But you could be talking and speaking and trying to drum up interest in the fight the same way you did with Lomachenko or Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney. So Jay, don't give Shakur a pass, but then be all over Tank. And I see people doing that. It's both sides. It's not just Tank. It's not just Shakur. It's both sides. That's how I see it.
Yeah, but I mean, bottom line though, to your point.
Oh, Jay calling in. Jay calling in. I got to get these lines going, boy. Jay calling in today, boy. Oh yeah.
But Tank, we need to see Tank fighting one of the best fighters this year, the top fighters this year. We don't need him.
I agree.
The lower echelon fighters, anything like that. One tune-up, okay, but we need to see him in the ring against one of the people that he said he wanted to fight on his hit list. He said Teal was on his hit list, Shakur was on his hit list, and Devin was on his hit list. So we want to see him fight one of the three this year. You know, I'm probably one of the biggest Tank fans out there. You know, but I want to see him fight the best. I think his skills and his power can get him a victory against all those fighters. Won't be easy, but it'll be good fights, great fights that we want to see. So
Cedric Williams just said something, or he said it a while ago. I saw it. Gary Russell is going to be the fight. Watch. I actually think that's possible.
Yeah, they've been talking that up.
I think that's possible. So.
Yeah, they were talking that up, you know. So I mean, let me take a look at. Let's see the WBA, because that's what. That's the one Tank basically would have been elevated. Yeah, and the WBA is Isak Cruz number 1, William Cepeda number 2, Frank number 3, and Ghost number 4, and Floyd Schofield number 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We know Loma's out of the picture. We know Ghost is definitely out of the picture. Floyd Schofield definitely ain't gonna happen. I remember there was horrible rumors out there about him fighting Chris Colbert. We know that's out of there because Chris is fighting Saturday on the card of David Morrell fight. So we'll see, man. But
we'll see.
I need to see my boy Tank getting someone of those top 3 this year or next year, 2024.
I agree. I can't wait to see him in there too.
Hey, John Mack is Mr. Gary Russell Jr. That's who we're talking about.
So Jay, I did a video later because you were sick like a little baby and they're talking about your tummy hurt. I did a video solo. In the video, what? Dog, you told me during that when we recorded the first video, you said my tummy hurt. You didn't say my tummy hurt. You didn't say that.
I didn't say that. No, I'm not Keyshawn.
Bro, you were like, my tummy. Maybe you were trying to say it was like a joke, but you said my tummy.
Coming down like that, man. Don't put me on that. Don't put me on that. Nah, don't do that.
Come on, man. You said your tummy. Now you might admit it as a joke, but I mean, I'm gonna take it literally. I'm gonna take it literally.
You had a fat face. Go ahead. What you get to your point, man? Get to your point.
So I did a video earlier today, and it was talking about Bill Haney. And I always thought Bill Haney and Devin Haney and Terence Crawford, I always thought that they were cool. And it seems like they are not as cool as we thought, because some of the comments that Bill Haney made during the post-fight press conference I thought were interesting in regards to Terence Crawford. And I saw people in the comment section talking ish, if you will, about my perception of what was said there. And my issue with what Bill Haney said there was, and this is the whole situation, right, Jay? So they were talking about Devin Haney and the possibility that Devin Haney can be pound for pound champion. And Bill Haney jumped in there and said, no disrespect or not trying to knock or throw shade at Terence Crawford. However, we know that Errol Spence was depleted and moved up to 154 pounds. So how much fucking credit can you give him for that? He used the F word. I wanted to make sure I added that in there, Jay. Almost like it has some animosity in that comment, right? And I'm like, hold up. How is it possible that how is it possible that you're going to make that comment? You're making that comment towards Terence Crawford, and regardless of what you think, and you guys know how we feel about Terence Crawford on this channel. We think he's a great fighter, but also he tries to control the narrative. But we think Terence Crawford is a great fighter. Regardless of what you think occurred with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, two things can be true. You can both feel that Terence Crawford was too much for Errol Spence because of some of the things that Terence Crawford was able to capitalize on against Errol Spence, but also that wasn't the same Errol Spence. Both things can be true. So, but him just going there in regards to that, man, it was just odd to me. And then, like, literally 2 minutes prior to that, he was talking about Gervonta Davis and the fact that Gervonta Davis said something that was negative in regards to Devin Haney. And he was saying that, you don't have to, basically shit on another fighter in order to elevate yourself. But isn't that what you just did to Terence Crawford? And I'm sorry, man, like for me personally, I have to call out when people say things that are inconsistent. And I don't mind when people say stuff about me that's inconsistent, or I've said something or call out that I was inconsistent, because we can all be guilty of this sometimes. But I was just surprised that he said that all within the same, basically like within 3 minutes, like he literally contradicted himself within the statement. And then he had already contradicted that statement 2 minutes prior. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you guys heard that. Jay, I don't know if you got the opportunity to hear that, but what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, he said that with some energy, didn't he? He said that with some energy, It's like he wasn't trying to. I mean, I understand what he was trying to get at, saying that, all the credit that went to Bud, but Spence went at his best. How much credit can you give Bud? I mean, I still give Bud all the credit in the world, the way he fought that fight. Whether Spence was missing something or not, Bud fought a hell of a fight. That's still there. He still fought a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
And the way he fought it, how much of a difference would it be at 154? We don't know until they get in the ring next year. It wouldn't be hard for me to pick Spence over Bud after Bud dominated that fight, with the injury or not injury or whatever it may have been with Spence. So I don't think I would have said it with that much energy, but Bill is doing what he's supposed to do. He's a promoter. He wants his son to be fighter of the year, which is he should be a candidate for with what he's done this year, without a doubt. He wants to be trainer of the year because this fighter has done some great things this year. Beat Loma and just went up to 140 and fought the quote unquote boogeyman at 140 in Regis Prograis and dominated Regis for 12 rounds straight. I don't have a problem with them going too much trying to promote him, but he did kind of sell out on Bud, and I can't go that round. To your point, him saying we don't have to put another person down to give him bring yourselves up. He did that. He's done that numerous times. That's the game these promoters play. They go back and forth with that. So I'm just used to him doing a code switch like that over and over again.
Dog, what was interesting? I saw multiple people say this in the comment section, and shout out to Mr. Vegas because he said this, and I'm going to call him out on this. He said, Bill was just telling the truth. He was just telling the truth. So there's nothing wrong with what he said. Number one, regardless, it's still an opinion to some extent because we don't know how much the injury necessarily affected Errol Spence. We can't measure how much Errol Spence was depleted. But not only that, and I'm of the belief that wasn't the same Errol Spence. But not only that, dog, you can. Why do you need to bring Terence Crawford's name up in order for you to elevate to Devin? Why couldn't you have just spoke when the guy asked you about what Devin and when you believe Devin's going to be at the top of the pound for pound list? You don't have to say nothing about Terence Crawford. You can just talk about the attributes associated with your fighters. My fighter is special. I call him Superman. You just saw what he's done in the sport. We're gonna end up going up and doing this. Nobody's doing what Devin's doing. You can highlight the superlatives associated with only your fighter. You don't have to talk about the next man performance to try to bring him down because he's at the top of the pound for pound list. So regardless, whether you think it's true or not, you don't have to do that. Therefore, it's hate. It's hate. I mean, I don't
They
know.
do that now, right? They have to. They feel like they have to. I mean, if me and you are battling, and it's basically just politics now. I don't like it at all. Let me put that out there first. I don't like it. I agree with everything that you said on how he could be bigging up on Dev without crapping on Bud. You know, but that's what they do. I mean, think about how many times Bill has used Tank's name over this last year. Knowing they weren't going to ever fight. He used his name a lot to catapult them. You know, that's just promoting. I don't agree with it, but I understand that's just promoting. You know, Dev is a hell of a fighter. You know, but the way he did just throw Bud out there for no reason. I know what that came out of nowhere where he just threw Bud in there because that Bud had nothing to do with that conversation. He just threw him in there. You know, and to the people in the chat and that might watch this replay, we actually are defending Bud right now. Y'all see that, right? Bud caught a stray.
I tell people all the time. People think we hate Terence Crawford. Man, we just see it how we see it, and love to hear people come into the comment section without calling people names like little girls and actually debate a topic or inform us of information that we may not be aware of, and just have a discussion. But man, I swear, boy, it's so many. You know, let me not say that because it's gonna sound sexist. I'm sorry.
People getting their emotions about their favorite fan and about their favorite fighter or whoever it may be. And also, I know we see other stuff some other people have said about Bud and everything, and we get lumped in that category. So we make sure we try to make it a point that we're not part of that category where we're just saying all the one thing. Bud doesn't do anything great. Bud is not this, Bud's not that. We've never said that. We've always said Bud's a dynamic fight. We want to see him against the best. We thought one of the best fighters was Spence. That's what we've always said, and we'll stand on that. We talked about his resume. We went down in detail about the resume. We still stand on that. We gave Bud all his flowers in the world right now. He's the best fighter in the game right now, pound for pound. That is what it is. We know other people have said stuff about Bud and still saying Bud was doing X, Y, Z, and Bud still not giving Bud his flowers. That's not us. Please don't get us confused with that just because we picked Spence to beat Bud. And we said it was a 50-50 fight, and we also gave it options on how we thought Bud could win that fight. We just didn't think either fighter was going to dominate him like that.
Joey, I told you, man. There's a lot of people, man, and I'm not trying to be an ass right now, but you know, actually, I am being an ass, and it's a lot of people. They can only understand a binary. They can only understand a binary argument. They literally can only understand a binary argument. What I mean by binary is, I only understand black or white. I cannot understand or distinguish between nuances. I can't understand that. Either you're saying that Terence Crawford is the greatest on earth, or you say he suck. There is no in between. And not that that's what I'm saying, but you know, they don't understand that stuff, dog, and it's crazy. So you know, sometimes you just gotta. Some days I ignore them. Some days I go in. Just depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah. No. Hey, but you know one thing I did notice though. Talking about Bud and Dev, because they were asking him, you know, if he was, you know, since we know Bud still has 3 of the 4 titles, you know, with Dev talking about moving at 147, when he go to fight Bud, he never answered that question.
See, hold on, let me read something here real quick, man, because this just dropped. Like Tank must know people. I think Tank know we doing a podcast, because he said, you know, pick your side and stay there. That was 12 minutes ago, but here's the kicker. He just dropped this 24 minutes ago. So Ish Smith said, Tank is my guy, but at some point, if you're not fighting the fights the public wants to see and demand, they will lose interest in some fights. At the pit board, they need to do a better job getting the right fights. Dog, that's a fair assessment. That's fair. You cannot be upset when someone says something that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair too. But here's Tank's response to that, Jay. But here's Tank's response to that. If you know so much, what happened to your career? And so, but see, I wouldn't respond like that, man. Like, dog, you're going to get some level of criticism, right? Like to me, that wasn't even all that critical, because he didn't say Tank. He didn't say Tank. He said they. He's talking about his handler. He said they have to do a better job of getting the right fights. And he's right. Like, I believe that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, by the time they fought in July, I felt that a lot of the luster on that fight had dissipated, Jay. That fight should have been made at the end of 2022. People were tired of it, and even though they eventually made the fight, there was a span there for, I would say, from, let's call it November, December to maybe like around May, where people were just like, you know what, I'm done with this fight. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, I don't even care anymore. And once you allow that to enter the psyche of the general public and the people that are going to purchase it, then even when you announce it, you just don't have that same energy around it anymore. And I think that helped to dissipate the fervor and the excitement around that fight, in my opinion. I think what Ish Smith said is perfectly fair.
No, that was fair. I mean, that's also fair too, what John Matt just said too on that. Also, I mean, a lot of these fighters nowadays, a lot of these fighters here are more sensitive. They're more, I mean, in general, people are more sensitive than they once were. You know, you say anything, and they take it as an attack instead of just looking at it and trying to see it as constructive criticism. You know, and that's all that is. Now, I laughed when he said what Tank responded to Ishe Smith, because he has a point there about Ishe Smith's career, but what Ishe said is fair.
It's fair. It's fair.
That's why Tank wanted to be his own boss. You know, Floyd was really controlling the chess pieces for Tank the whole way. Who he was fighting, when he was fighting, everything like that. Although I do remember, I thought Tank was mad about one matchup, because he felt like they were trying to get him beat. I don't know if that was the Pedraza fight or who it was.
It was Loma.
Still had
it was Loma. It was Loma that they were talking about.
No, it was a fight he actually fought. It was actually someone he actually fought.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know,
gotcha.
So I mean, but I think now with Tank being on his own, away from Mayweather, under Mayweather completely, like that, you know, still with PBC, I think now we get to see what Tank's going to do. You know, and like I said, these guys are just, you know, they're on social media all the time, and some are quick to snap about any and everything, no matter if you giving them credit or not. So.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, Thomas. Yeah, it was Pedraza. So it was Pedraza. That's the one they said he thought they were trying to get him beat, because his Tank was a 3-1 underdog. I knew it was one of those fights. I can't remember which one, but he went in and handled Pedraza and took care of him. So, but now, did you hear what I said about how Bill didn't say anything about Bud as far as fighting him at 147?
There's not a whole lot to say there, man. Bud's not staying at 147, man.
No. I know that, but still though, Bill have an injury for other people, and then, you know, he's going to talk bad about Bud's win against Spence. Why not? You know, because I saw people talking about two fights. I saw people talking about on Twitter. It was Devin versus Boots and Devin versus Bud for some reason, and I was like, nah. People actually on Twitter were actually who you got, Dev or Bud? I'm like, nah. Dev's really good, but that's not what he want.
Man, Bud.
Not what he want right now.
Man, Bud cook that.
Again, like Devin said, there's levels to it. That's still not saying that you're not a good to great fighter if you lose to an elite fighter. You know, sort of like when Spence losing to Bud. He's still a good fighter.
Yeah, man, let's be realistic here again. Dev looked good. I do believe weight played a part in some of his performances when he was at a lower weight class at 35. But let's not get it twisted. Like, this is a combination of two things. It's a combination of being weight drained to some extent, but it's also the opponent that was in front of you. There was a reason why they wanted him. I'm telling you guys, they're being very strategic in what they're doing. And that's okay. I think Tank needs to be more strategic in what he's doing so that he can cement his legacy and do something similar. Because right now, and we'll drop a poll about this maybe tomorrow, but man, you got to give it to Devin Haney right now in terms of the best resume in the game at 35-40. I'm talking strictly about 35-40, just 35-40, because people, that's what sometimes they can't hear. But but let me pause real quick, Jay. We got 44 likes we got 84 people in the building. Guys, please pause real quick and hit the like button for us so other people can find the content. And if you're new to the channel, rather, and this is your first time on the channel, we are AM Sports Media, the Angry Man Podcast. I see that already 4 people have subscribed. that have been on this live stream. So hey, if we got any other new people that are on the live stream, come check us out. Subscribe to the channel. We are always dropping content, and you will find that this particular channel is a channel that allows you to come in here and have your opinion, argue, disagree with the people that host the channel, and I think you'll find it to be very enjoyable. But anyway, Jay,
yeah,
man, do we have anything else that we need to cover?
Yeah, we got a few more. Cause I mean, kind of talked about, kind of didn't talk about it. So, question about Devin moving up to 147. Could Dev versus Boots be competitive?
No.
Or could Dev beat Boots?
No. The things that Devin the attributes that Devin Haney enjoys at 35, 40, he will not have at 47. Okay. They say Devin Haney is 5'8". I believe he's more maybe like around 5'9", because he's a little bit taller than Regis. And if Regis is 5'8", Devin is probably maybe 5'8.5", 5'9". He's rangy. I think he has a 72-inch reach.
Yeah, I think it is 72.
So he's really rangy. Did I say something that I need to say pause for? I see somebody say pause in it. I might have. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm old school. Anyway, so he won't enjoy those same attributes that he enjoyed against, Regis Prograis, Lomachenko, being able to fight from distance, use that jab, being faster, those types of things. Boots stands at 5'10". Boots has a 74-inch reach. Boots is fast. Boots has power, more power than way more power than Devin Haney. And Regis talked about how Devin's power is sneaky because he can run you into something. He won't be as successful at running Boots into anything. The only chance I see Devin has in being Boots is that Devin has a lot of lateral movement. So could Devin do something similar to Karan and maybe throw Boots off his square doing that? Is it possible? Maybe. But Jaron Ennis, every time I see that mofo, he is in the gym. More than likely, they have solved that for him. So that might not work out for him that well either. And if he were to do that all fight long against Ennis, all Ennis has to do is just cut off the ring, take his time, and not be over anxious. And Devin won't be able to win a fight like that because, again, he won't be able to hit Boots from a range where he can just duck out of the way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that fight's competitive.
Yeah, I don't think it's competitive. But I mean, to your point, Devin can stay on the outside, and we saw Boots have issues with Karan with that movement. That's one thing we want to see what Boots does against someone that can move again. Because we won't see that one time we saw that as a concern for Boots, as far as someone with more skills than Karan. If they're able to do what he did and have more skills, then that can pose a problem to Boots. I still think Boots will handle Dev on this. I just think Boots is too much for him on here. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be I think Boots is just too much for Dev right now. At that, Dev is good, but there's levels to it, and him going up to 147, that's different. That's different. That is different.
Hey, Jay, Matias turned down the Tio fight, but it's because he injured his hand in the last fight. I think that fight might end up. I got to give Tio some love for that, man, because Matias is a fight that most of those guys at that weight division are going to try to avoid. If he takes him and beats him, oh man, I would probably then have him elevated over Devin in terms of resume.
It's a possibility. I mean, but the thing with Matias, he's a monster in there, but he's there to be hit at times too. He's there to be hit, and that serves perfect for Tio. But it'll be a hell of a fight. We'll see what they can handle. Who can handle what in that fight there? But along the same lines with Bud, back to Bud a little bit. So, your favorite fighter, Canelo Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
It's been rumored that David Benavidez is not going to be next. It's been rumored that He's looking at Bud, Mungia, or Jermall Charlo for his fight in May. I've already people that follow this channel here. They know how I feel about Canelo. They know I feel like he's a hell of a fighter. The resume and the way he's been moving, I've never been a fan of it. Going on a Euro diet, picking a bad Euro fighter and fighting Bivol and getting dominated by Bivol was a mistake by them, thinking they had it easy. But now with them not fighting David next, that's bullshit. No one wants to see no other fight. No one else is deserving of a fight with Canelo than David Benavidez right now. He earned it multiple times. And it's going to be a big money fight. So there's no reason why, let's just say the best for last. F that. We need this fight to happen like earlier this year. He's the mandatory. I don't want to see Bud. Mungia ain't done shit to deserve a fight. Jermall Charlo just had a fight after 2.5 years. He's not deserving of a fight at 168 neither. He hasn't earned it neither. So give us the damn David Benavidez and Canelo in May, not September. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, David needs to be next. I don't want to see anybody else. I don't want to see a welterweight moving up. And I don't even so Canelo Alvarez addressed this. He said he doesn't know where those names came from. The Terence Crawford name. Well. Yeah, but Jay, the Terence Crawford name never made any sense. Cinco de Mayo, Terence Crawford's probably going to be fighting in February. And they already said Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken, their first pay-per-view bout is going to be what? March? Didn't they say March? Yeah. So I don't know who's going to be on the card. It's been speculated that it might be Gervonta Davis, but regardless, let's say it's Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Dog, there's no way Terence Crawford's going to be next in May. There's no way. So I don't even know how Terence Crawford's name got brought up. Terence Crawford will not be in the ring with Canelo Alvarez. He won't. He's going to fight some. I don't think it's going to be David Benavidez next. I think David Benavidez is going to be pushed out to September because he wants to give him one last opportunity to lose if he can. But outside of that, I think it's going to, Jaime Mungia makes sense from a, Cinco de Mayo perspective. But, I think I see Tunnel Vision in the chat saying it won't be, they're not options. And it's probably because, and he believes it's because they're with different entities. I don't know. He's supposed to sit down with Al Heyman tomorrow and figure out who's next. It needs to be David Benavidez. To figure out. It needs to be. Yeah, I agree. It needs to be David Benavidez.
This shit gets me boiling, man.
It needs to be David Benavidez. Bullshit. And then the winner of David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez, which I believe right now I'm leaning toward David Benavidez. Now Canelo can win this fight because it's stylistically, I think he does some things that are good. But I'm leaning towards David Benavidez right now. And whoever wins in May, if they should face the winner of Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. So for the Terence Crawford fans, if he wins, Terence Crawford should have then the opportunity to move up and face the winner at that point. Because you can look at it like this. Canelo Alvarez just wants to go out on a swan song and fight a guy that's moving up 2 or 3 weight classes. Or you give Terence Crawford the opportunity to become 3 division undisputed against a David Benavidez. Either one I'm fine with. Go ahead, Jay.
Only fight I want, David Benavidez and Canelo in May. Because I know John Ryder and Mungia are fighting, I believe, in January. That's still time for them, whoever wins that, because they're banking on Mungia to win. And that says, Mungia did better against John Ryder, so he deserves a fight against Canelo. Bullshit. Ain't no one else deserves a fight against Canelo but David Benavidez. That's the best fight available for Canelo. That's the fight everyone's been asking for years now. He's a mandatory. He fights his mandatory, supposedly. That was the excuse they used when he went on that European diet. That's why he fought John Ryder. John Ryder was a mandatory. So I'm tired of hearing that bullshit that Canelo's going to fight. He can pick whoever want to do this and that because of his resume. Fuck his resume. The European was bullshit. All that was bullshit. Billy Joe Saunders. Abney Urim. It's bullshit, man. I'm done.
Can't stand man. Boy, you hot, boy. Damn, you hot.
Because people don't want to have to keep the same energy for every other fighter. I already said how I want to see Tank fight better fighters. Now, this cat here ain't fighting nobody. Canelo is not doing shit, man. He's holding up the fucking belts. You got mandatories. Fight them. Don't be fight certain mandatories. Fight the mandatory out there. And I actually think Canelo beat David Benavidez. That's the thing. It's not like I'm saying David's going to beat him. I want to see the fight because that's the best fight available. It's been 2 years in the making. They told David, fight somebody. Y'all need to fight each other. Fought Caleb Pant. Fought Boo Boo. What else want him to do? He wants to clean up everybody for him? While he just stacks and gets paychecks? Talking about that bullshit as payday? No, man, fight him. No one else deserves it. Fuck that.
F-bombs everywhere, boy. Good Lord. You go ahead and let that out. Go ahead and I see you needed to poop that out, man. That's what that was like. I think your stomach was hurting right there, man. You need to go ahead and poop that out, boy. You needed to poop that one out,
this shit
my friend.
My tummy hurt, call me Keyshawn Davis and shit, man.
Man, I ain't calling you nothing, man. That's what you said, dog. You said it. I mean, maybe you were joking, but you said it. Yeah.
You called me that, man.
Hey, man. Anyway, guys, let me get the phone lines open so you guys can give us a call. Let me get
my bad, guys.
Here, man. Yeah, man, you had the potty mouth just then, man.
Oh, the only other thing, so one thing we didn't talk about. PBC announces they're going to Amazon Prime Video, not just for pay-per-view, but they're also going to have their regular championship series on Prime 2. I'm excited about it. It's finally been announced. So now they can really start seeing the upcoming fight schedule start rolling out, hopefully sooner than later. Hey, Jay Miller, don't do me like that, man. Don't do me like that, Jay Miller. Nowhere near as many F-bombs as Curtis Harper last night.
Curtis Harper? Who is Curtis Harper? Foxy Brown, thank you so much. We appreciate the $5. Thank you. What? Curtis
Harper was the one that fought Richard Torres last night. He's the one that walked out of FL Jabba because he didn't get his pay.
Yeah. Hey, man, you just got a potty mouth today, man. It is what it is. But no, man, I'm excited about PBC. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about it. I mean, we knew about this for a while now. We knew it was coming down the pike. I'm excited that they're going to have a deal. It's good for boxing. It's good that boxing will continue, and hopefully ESPN and Top Rank, they'll continue with their relationship, although I'm hearing that may not be the case, but we'll see what ends up happening there. It's good for the sport, so we shall see. All righty, Jay, we're going to open up these phone lines maybe for about 30 minutes or so, something like that. And get it going here. So let me get phone lines are now up and ready to go. But yeah,
so it's gonna be Jay or gonna be Banda, the first one that calls in.
Who's gonna be?
It'll be Banda or Jay.
Wrong. FSU Walt is in the building.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on with you, man?
What's happening, Walt?
Yo, Jay, you ain't never been more righter with the Canelo thing, man. That I done given up on him fighting Benavidez, brother. Know what I mean? But I wanted to say that I just want to say that I think they're moving Devin like in this kind of mysterious way because he moves up to 140 and he fights a guy who's tailor-made for him. I would have rather seen him fight Matias or Antoine Russell. But I think he's going to avoid them guys. And I think his next fight's going to be because De La Hoya wants to cash out on Ryan. So I think it's going to be Ryan for the payday or Rolly. I don't think he's going to go near any of the tough guys at 140. I mean, Teo might happen, but I think that'll be sketchy. I think if he moves to 147, he's going to look for Barrios. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys don't even bring up Boots. They'll never make that fight. That's it. He'll kill him. You guys think he'll be able to move? Boots, like Boots took Villa's punch, man. Like Devin, even that sharp right hand is not going to do nothing to Boots. He's just too big. It's like, and then like you said, the press conference funny when he was saying that Dev was the best fighter in the sport, and then the kid from Fight Hype said, "What would you fight Terence?" And right away he changed the subject. You know what I'm saying? So
I noticed that.
That was the best I ever seen Dev last night. Got to give him props, though. But if you really look at it, I mean, the dude was tailor-made. Like, slow hand, slow foot. I mean, it was a pick-apart show. So I would love to see him fight Antoine Russell next because I think Antoine Russell will give him all kind of problems. What y'all think about that?
Don't disagree whatsoever. I do not believe.
I love
I do not believe Devin has any any interest in defending that title at 140. Now, is it possible that he might defend that title at 140 against the Sandor Martin? Absolutely, because I believe that will give him the opportunity to sit there for a little bit to see how 147 pounds shakes out. And if the right person becomes champion at 147, he'll move up and fight him too. I'm telling you, man, it's legacy, but it's only legacy by paper, right? You'll see.
Yeah, but
you'll see.
I agree, Greg. I agree with that. But like you said, it's going to be the right person, and then they'll go. The thing I just don't like what Bill does. Then they'll go on bragging, saying how Devin's the right dude. So if you move to 140, why wasn't you to go after the best guys? You say you always want to fight the best. Why wasn't it Tio or Matias? You know, I just look at it. I just think, and at 147, I don't think he's going to have it. There's the right guy. Say if even Stanionis gets a belt, I think he's tough to be too tough for Devin. Because unless Devin, that snack's really giving him extra power, which I didn't see last night. I think that was just a sharp right hand, man. You know what I mean? That he caught him perfectly on the button. Devin still hasn't took a punch from a 140, and I just think dude like Gary Antoine or Matias, who are not going to respect Devin's power. And especially Antoine Russell, he's fast. He might even be faster than Devin. So
he's explosive.
I still ain't seen it yet with Devin, man, because I just think every fight that he's fought that I fought so far, I knew he was going to beat that guy. You know, I mean, Lomachenko was because I didn't know, if they would give Lomachenko the fight because, it's top rank, but I still think he did enough to win that fight. I just want to see him and Tank ain't going to fight because Tank ain't going to 140. Coach Calvin was on Mill City Boxing this morning talking about that. They got to come see him. And if you look at Devin in that weigh-in the other night, he looked drained just to make 140. So, but FSU all day, y'all, man. Have a great one.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Walt.
All right, easy, Walt.
If I'm Tank, I go get Devin now, dog. I think that's a big fight. I think Devin's still going to struggle to make 140. I go get him right now. I think he matches up as well as probably, Shakur, if not better. I go get Devin now, dog. I'm on the phone. Yeah. I'm on the phone with Leonard and Al. I'm saying I want that fight next, dog. We can make that fight in like April, dog. Let's do it. That should be my next fight because you want Devin, either that or the next one. But Devin would be who I would be targeting if I'm Tank. Because that fight would be a relatively big fight. Now it's not going to be like Ryan, but that fight probably does. That fight probably does 500,000 pay-per-view buys. That's enough for both of those guys to get paid. Yeah, that's enough for both of those guys to get paid. And the backstory on those two guys, where everybody going to start coming out the woodworks talking about all that sparring crap, is going to really generate a lot of interest in that fight, in my opinion. So if I'm Tank, that's what I go after right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if I agree with you on that, but if Tank don't do that, and Devin fights Ryan next, beats Ryan, sells that shit out, fights Tank in the last part of 2024, that'd be a mega fight. Because then you can see how Devin handled against Ryan, and then he fights Tank, and this is what Tank fighting whoever and winning still. That'd be hell of a fight.
That would be huge. I don't know if they do that, but that would be huge. Yo, you on the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. What's going on with you, fam?
Yo, what's the deal?
What's happening with you?
So who y'all got in that fight if it does happen?
Which fight?
Tank and Devin. Taking Devin.
I got Tank, dog.
I still got Tank.
I think it's a competitive fight though, because Devin brings attributes to the ring that Ryan brought, and Devin won't be as susceptible to Tank's offense as Ryan was.
Okay. And Jason, you saying that Dev should fight Ryan first?
No, if he can't get the Tank fight, I think he should fight Ryan. Because that's going to be a big fight, big money fight. It's going to be a lot of people there, and it's also a measuring stick to see how Dev does against Ryan versus what Tank did against Ryan.
So who should Tank fight then?
Frank Martin.
Yeah, I was about to go there too. I think Tank should fight Frank Martin.
Why?
Same side of the street. Same side of the street. Fight that can be made. No reason. There's he's a legitimate fighter at 135, and there's a boatload of money that can be made there for both himself, the PBC, and it'll be a competitive fight. It's a win-win for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
So why not Shakur?
Different size of the
So Shakur got the belt, right? Shakur got a belt at 135.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, he got a belt.
But Shakur has number one, there's more hands in that pot, so you need more money, right? And I just don't think the people that are handling Shakur right now, and that's Top Rank, that's Jay Prince, that's all those guys, they're gonna wait for that fight to be a bigger fight so that everybody can eat off that fight before they make that fight. That's on both sides.
Mm. See, I see y'all part of it, but I don't see why Tank is always going after, the low hanging fruit. I mean, Ryan really forced that fight to happen, and I was dumb crossing the other side of the street also. So I don't think that there should be any issues with pushing for Shakur versus Tank. That can definitely happen. I mean, they just got the new deal with Prime. That would sell out. That can probably even lead to another deal with Prime if it actually does well.
That's a big.
What's your thoughts on that?
They knew Ryan and Tank were going to sell big numbers. Shakur ain't going to sell numbers like that, man. He just struggled in his last fight. Shakur ain't never even been on pay-per-view before. All this stuff about Shakur being a draw is crazy to me. He's not a draw yet. So wait.
So he's not a draw. He's never had a pay-per-view, right? Ryan never had a pay-per-view either. Mm. And when Ryan got together with Tank, what happened?
Yeah, but Ryan has a huge following.
Okay. All right, let's use a different example.
Okay.
Gennady Golovkin. He wasn't selling nothing. His pay-per-views was somewhere around 100,000, 70,000. He got together with Canelo, which is a big draw, and what happened?
What
over 1 million pay-per-views. So that's what I think it takes two in order to sell, and I think as long as you got two of the top talent, boxing fans are going to come out and they're going to pay for it.
I think
even if it doesn't do 1 million, 600,000, just like what Bud and Spence just did, that's a successful pay-per-view. Even if it does 500,000, that's successful because Tank is only used to selling like 200 plus. But if you bring someone like Shakur in there, there's enough money to go around. But the problem is when boxing fans worry about too much about how much people making, how much all of that shit happening, instead of worrying about, hey, is the best fighters fighting the best? That's why the sport is hurting. This is not pushing the sport further when the conversation goes around how much this is going to make for this side versus that side. If we say, hey, who's the best at 135, why ain't they fighting together? Just like Ryan did. That's the only reason that fight with Ryan and Tank happened was because Ryan pushed the issue.
Yeah, so like what you said there in terms of GGG versus Canelo Alvarez, I think that's a valid argument. But
it's exactly what happened.
No, I'm not arguing that. I think that's a valid argument what you're making. However, I don't believe or I don't think they know yet if Gervonta Davis is at the level of a Canelo Alvarez where he and Shakur Stevenson would actually draw enough to feed all of the people that want the money that they've been asking for. There's a reason, and this is my thing. I feel like people push all of this to Tank. It's all Tank. And Shakur has been smart at basically leveraging what people's thoughts are currently and just saying, it's out of my control. If we ain't fighting, it's all Tank. It's not. It's all parties involved. Because don't think that those guys, if Tank brought them a contract right now and it wasn't up to snuff in terms of everybody that needs to get paid and Shakur still having the amount of money that he wants after he pays everybody, that fight will actually get made. It's everybody involved. Now, would I like to see Shakur Stevenson next? I'm fine with seeing Shakur Stevenson next. I don't think it's about fight fans being in everybody's pockets. I don't think it's about that. I think it's more so about the folks who actually control the business associated with it. They got to get paid, and if they're not getting the requisite dollars, they're going to avoid the fight. It's just what it is. I can't say it's right.
I understand the business point of it. Trust me, I do. I mean, I'm a CFP. I understand it. But what I'm saying is, as the consumer, if we're demanding and actually saying, hey, we want to see this fight, that's what's going to happen. I mean, look at Tank's career. I mean, he's taken all of the lowest hanging fruit available. And granted, I know it was Mayweather and Ellerby. I know it wasn't all him. I honestly think he can beat them all. To keep it 100, I think he could beat them all. I think he's just limiting himself by not forcing those fights like other fighters do. Look what Sean Porter did. He could have fought anybody. But he said, I'm going to stay. I want to fight Bud. He got his ass whooped. But guess what? He fought the fight that he knew was going after legacy. And that's why he's held so high in the sport by real boxing fans. Not a fan of a boxer. And another thing you could think of, Danny Garcia, the same reason. He fought them all. What Haney's doing. Like, Haney is calling out them all. He called out Gary Russell when Gary Russell was calling out Tank. And what did Tank do? He decided to fight Leo Santa Cruz, another person that was ducking Gary Russell. Man, it's so, like, clear in people. It's right there in people's faces. But they keep buying it. They keep buying the bullshit, and that's why they're allowing the sport to freaking look. That's why Showtime is outside of that boxing right now, because they overpaid these boxers that was fighting no competition, and Tank is a perfect example of it. The perfect example of it.
So
I'm just here to hold it accountable against everyone. I feel the same way about Canelo. Canelo bullshit. He weight trained people. He moved up and down weights to try to hold, not be held accountable to fighting the best fighters in their division, like Jermall at 54, Andrade at 54. He freaking pulled them all the way up to, pulled people all the way up to 168, which was bullshit. I mean, like, we can call out bullshit across the table. But with Tank, I just don't ever hear it. And this is Jay, by the way. I mean, it's me.
I know. I know
you can tell by what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I love y'all. Y'all my niggas. But I just got to call it like I see it.
No. But let me, because Jay, I got to push back on you here. And I'm fine with you calling out Tank. And I just literally just said that what the criticism that Ish Smith gave him was fair criticism as far as I'm concerned. But I don't hear that same energy around Shakur Stevenson. It's almost like you're pinning it all on Tank. And let me say why. I just saw you in the comment section basically saying that Shakur Stevenson he should have taken the 25%. He didn't take the 25%. Which means that he avoided a fight with Devin. Essentially.
Haney.
So
sure did.
So if he is a fighter that would be willing to do that in that particular situation, then how would you just say hold him blameless for the reason why he and Tank haven't fought?
I'm not. I'm not holding him blameless.
Oh, okay.
He's not the one pushing for the issue enough. Like, he talk all this shit about Haney all the time, but with Tank, he's like, he got to send me the A-side contract, which is true. Like, he's the A-side, he does have to send the contract. Sure. But that's a bullshit cop out. If he really wanted to fight, he'll be keeping that same energy he's keeping with Devin. And everyone else, like, on Twitter, like freaking Cepeda and all of them, anyone that went down that list that didn't fight him, etc. I feel the same way about that too. And I've called it out.
Then that's fair. If that is your viewpoint, then I have no problem with your take on Tank. I think it's definitely more abrasive than the take that I would take. But no, I think you're basically saying what Ish Smith said, which was, at some point people are going to start losing interest, and you want fight fans to demand this fight such that it ended up, materializing. I think Shakur needs to make more noise to bring Tank out. I think Tank needs to be open to accepting the fight, and if he is the biggest draw in the sport, then or at least in and around that weight class, then there should be enough money in the pot for everybody. Now, we've heard Calvin Ford say something to the effect of, "My youngin ain't taking no pay cut," Well, dog, you're never going to be able to make the same money you made against Ryan because all the other opponents are not going to draw the same amount. So that's not going to happen. So you have to be willing to take a pay cut to some extent. Now, you don't have to take a percentage cut. As a matter of fact, you should probably get a percentage increase if you're facing Devin Haney. But like the absolute dollar, like then, dog, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's going to work.
That's if he's hell bent at staying at 135. All I'm saying is he got to fight the best. Bringing up Gary Russell from freaking 126 to 135 after a shoulder injury of his freaking his left hand. That's just here we go again. That's just cherry picking. Just like he did with Hector, just like he did with Ryan, just like he did with Barrios, with freaking weight training him. Like the shit gotta stop. And I would say the same thing about Shakur. He should have took the 25%. And for Devin, for 4 belts plus the ring, it was a no-brainer. And now he had a weak-ass performance against De Los Santos. De Los Santos deserves a rematch, if anything. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm a tough critic when it comes to this sport. I hold people accountable across the board. And I just want to see that from everybody. I mean, especially fans that's actually pushing the sport forward, like you guys.
Yeah, man. I want to see that. I want to see that fight happen as well. But let me ask you, if that fight doesn't happen, if for whatever reason they couldn't come to terms, you telling me you wouldn't be satisfied with a Frank Martin fight?
I mean, I would have to be. Like, that's the second best person at 135, if you ask me. So I'll be satisfied. Yeah, okay, and I'll pay for it and I'll watch it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you would give him the
I mean, I'm a fan of the sport, and I think that's the second best fight to be made at the division. So hell yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not one of the ones that's saying Tank should jump up to 140 and fight Devin. I think that's stupid because Tank actually said in plenty of interviews like 140 is just too big. 140 is too big. He kept saying that. That's why he didn't like it when he went up there and he fought Barrios. He didn't like it at all, and I don't blame him because he's a small dude. But if with the division that he's in, he just got to dominate in it. He got to do exactly what Haney did. Haney ain't play. He called out all the champions. Loma didn't want to fight him, and he unified with tried to unify against T.O. and lost. T.O. lost to Kambosos. Because the only reason why he fought Kambosos is because he didn't want to fight Haney after Haney was calling him out, and then he lost, and then Haney went over there and beat his ass twice, came back, beat Loma. You got to give Haney more respect for what he's doing as far as a legacy standpoint, and as far as what boxing should look like, what he's doing. Now, if he don't clean out 140, I don't agree with that, because going up to 147 just to fight a Barrios for a quick WBC title, that don't make any sense to me too. I don't agree with that either.
But let me look at this, Laura. Let me say this. Like, I hear what you're saying. I like how the Haneys are moving, but honestly, the Haneys are moving very strategic. And I'm not talking necessarily about 135 pounds. Now, I can't say he dominated 135 pounds. He won one title, the WBC title, and then he beat Kambosos. And then Loma, who's not the same Loma, and then he moved on. Dominating would have been if
he defended it. He defended it. No. Name another person that defends it.
I'm not knocking that.
Don't do that.
I'm not knocking that. I'm just knocking the term dominated. I don't feel he dominated the division because he didn't really fight everybody in the division at the time. He didn't dominate it. Now, moving up, here's the other thing. I think he's very strategic in picking Regis Prograis. And I like what you said, where you said if he doesn't fight other fighters at 140, then you'll have an issue with that, because I think he picked the fighter that perfectly matched up with him, and I don't think he's going to have any desire to face anybody else at 140. If he fights at 140 again, or at least his next couple of fights, if he can't figure out a way to get up to 147 where somebody falls out that makes sense for him to fight at 47, I think he's just going to defend against Sandor Martin. I think that's what he's going to do. I don't think he wants really that other smoke there at 140. Maybe Ryan, yeah. T.O., yeah, because that might make a lot of money. But Matias, no. Gary, Anton, Russell, I don't think he'd make that fight. I think those will all be dangerous fights for him. So that would be, if he's going,
I think they'd be dangerous fights, but I don't think he'll avoid them. I don't see Devin avoiding any fights because he's scared of them. I think he'll box Matias' head off. I think he'll box Gary Antoine's head off because he just rushing. It's just my opinion, and I also think I think the only person that may beat him is T.O.
I think
the only person that may be, because T.O. gets up for big fights, and he has a way about him that he can hit hard, he can counter. He's a smart ass fighter that people don't see what he's doing in the ring, but he clearly know how to fight. He know how to game plan. So T.O. to me is his hardest threat besides Tank. I think Tank knocks him out.
I think
if he does go up to 140, Tank will knock Dev out. And the only problem is that his handlers don't probably feel the way that
I think Tank is a dangerous fight, and it will be a close fight. I think he can beat Matias. I think T.O. is a real tough fight for him. I think Gary Anton Russell is very, very explosive. I don't know how he deals. Yeah, I don't know how he deals with a guy that's explosive. Will he have the actual timing? Because we've seen Devin get hit in the past, and Regis just didn't have the speed and the footwork and the timing. But Gary Anton Russell is going to be a little bit more explosive. That'll be an interesting fight.
Africa too. Don't forget about Africa at 140. Africa, Hutchison, he's nice too. So he's like a similar Dev, but he's a good boxer. So you got to throw him in the mix too at 140.
But
he turned down Matias. I mean, all these dudes are weirdos, but I don't know.
I just saw Renaissance Dad say, "I'm more and more like Fanon." Dog, I give people their credit, but I also have criticism for some of the stuff. I'm not just.
Fanon is biased as shit.
Yeah, like dog. My take on Devin
Greg ain't like that. Greg ain't like that. I'm sorry. I know y'all fuck with Fanon, but he a biased motherfucker. But y'all ain't like that. At least I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we take a specific we see one thing in one fighter, but we may see the same thing in that same fighter. So, for instance, two things can be true, and I keep telling you guys about binary arguments. Dog, I feel that what Devin is doing, I literally just said I like it. I said Devin has the best resume between any of those guys at 135 and 140. If T.O. were to go face Matias, he would be the person that has the number one resume between those fighters at 135, 140. I said I like what Bill is doing and the way that they're moving, and they're being very strategic. But two things can be true as well. They're being strategic in what they're doing and not necessarily taking the most dangerous people at 140 or person at 140 at the moment. He chose a guy that matched up very well in Regis Prograis. I think at 147, if they move up, they're going to see who shakes out, and it's going to be, if there's a favorable matchup, they'll move to 147 and try to win another title. More than one thing can be true, dog. Damn. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man, it's nuances, man. Like, that's why, you got to be able to have a argument and see both sides of the table, man. Like you said, there's gray in this whole boxing industry because there's a lot of business behind it. So, but as fans, sometimes you got to zero in also on what you want to see and kind of demand what you want to see, and that's the only way those fights happen. Similar to what happened with Spence, how he was just so hell bent on fighting Bud next. He could have easily just dropped the belts and move up and force Mel to move up and then fight Tim Tszyu or something like that. But nah, he was hell bent on fighting Bud, and you saw how that went. Whatever, but it's certain. I mean, integrity in the sport has to matter, and as us consumers, we have to demand it. We can't just pay for anything.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all, Jay. It was a good call, man. You need to call in more, dude.
No doubt, fellas, man. Next time, Greg, when you're in the DMV area, let me know, man. Let me know when you're in the DMV area. Take down my phone number.
You live in the DMV?
Yeah, man. I live right outside of Baltimore. I live right in Columbia, so
okay.
Definitely. Anytime you're up here, let me know.
Yeah, I got a. Are you familiar with Winchester?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a plant there. I got a manufacturing facility there. I will be in town definitely in 2024.
All right. Well, let me know.
All right, man. Cool. Later.
All right. Salute.
All right, man. All right. That was Jay. Jay called in, man. He was dropping a lot. Tunnel Vision say, I'm not seeing both sides. I'm being biased. Come on, Tunnel. Come on, dog. But anyway, it might be Tunnel calling in now. Whoever called in right now pissed with the last person. 203, you're on the Anger Man podcast with Jason and Greg. What's going on with you, fam?
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Tunnel Vision.
Tunnel, I told you it's Tunnel, dog. I told you it was Tunnel. What's going on, Tunnel?
Nah, nothing, man. Yeah, just with that what that guy was saying right there. With him, to me, it's like, no disrespect, but he's saying that, there's a, quote, a gray area, but he's not necessarily keeping it a gray area when it comes to everybody. He's not looking at both sides. It seems as if he's kind of keeping his eyes closed to one part of it because it doesn't fit exactly what he wants. Like when he's talking about Fanon is not biased. What Fanon does is he stays consistent with the argument. He doesn't flip-flop it because it doesn't fit, what the narrative that he wants. Like this guy's saying that he's talking about how, people are saying that how, what's his name? Tank Davis. Oh, Tank Davis, quote, needs to take a pay cut in order to make this particular fight happen. But they weren't saying that when it came to Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? That fight between Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson could have happened. He wants to look at Devin Haney's side like, oh, Devin Haney, I guess he has the belt. So Shakur's supposed to just sacrifice himself, though. He's supposed to just sacrifice financially, even though the minimum that you're supposed to make with the WBC is 30%. But even though he knows that's the case, and with anybody else, think about it. We've had millions of times where there've been boxing, people negotiating fights, and that are mandated, and they don't come up to an agreement. And because they don't come up to an agreement, it goes to purse bid. We've literally seen this a million times. But now somehow when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, someone who I've been very critical of also before, by the way, when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, though, it's, he must just take below that. He must take below what's called 25%. And he just ignores the fact that Devin Haney had said that he doesn't fight for money. He fights for legacy. How many times y'all ever have heard this man say that he fights for legacy, not money? Especially when the Ryan Garcia and Tank fight happened. We heard him say that a million times. But for some reason, when it came to this particular situation, it was about money. So it can be about legacy. He's going to ride with that. But when he flips it around and says, oh, now I need to get paid a certain amount of money in order to make this fight, he's cool with that, too. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. And Tank can't force these people to do things. It's not, you want to just put it on Tank. It's not just Tank. All these other entities have their plans of what they want to do, too. Top Rank don't really care about people becoming pay-per-view stars. What they're about is getting that deal with ESPN renewed on a regular basis. They care about their fighters going in there, getting their viewerships, and then them getting that deal renewed and keeping control all sides of what they do. You got Shakur Stevenson, who right now got the WBC championship, right? And then you got Lomachenko, who's fighting against, what's the other dude's name?
Kambosos?
Hello? Yeah, Kambosos. He's fighting against Kambosos for that belt. And the WBO belt, that's also going to end up with Top Rank. So right now what they're doing is, and those are 3 different events that they're going to be able to do on their channel. And then once they get all those particular bouts up, they're going to be able to then do a Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson and keep it all in-house. Just like with Devin Haney. Devin Haney got those belts because he signed to Top Rank. He's over here talking about Devin Haney as if Devin Haney was a separate entity and then that deal just got done. No, in order for that deal to get done, Devin Haney had to sign a multi-fight deal with Top Rank. Jaron Herring, or whatever his name was, he said they had him on the sidelines. He was going to go fight Kambosos. Then after he fought Kambosos, then probably when Lomachenko came back, they were going to have just Lomachenko fight Kambosos. They had a plan B already. Either you're riding with us or you're not. So the only reason that fight got done is because he signed a multi-fight deal. What's it called? Terence Crawford sued Top Rank because they supposedly weren't trying to make the fights happen. They wouldn't make those fights happen for him. But but he had to leave. Once he left, then he was able to make that fight happen by going to PBC Showtime as a free agent without Top Rank being involved. That's how that fight got happened. And you keep saying this again. You want to give Ryan Garcia credit for that fight happening, but you don't want to give Tank Davis credit for that happening, as if Ryan was just this force that made everybody do what he wanted. If PBC, if Tank Davis and his side don't want that fight to happen, that fight doesn't happen. The reason why they say Ryan is the reason it happened, it wasn't because he forced Tank to do it. It's because he forced his promoter to do it. What's it called? Golden Boy didn't want to do that fight. Okay, they did not want that fight to happen. So they were trying to do everything that they could to keep that fight from happening. But Ryan Garcia, who makes money outside of boxing and he'll sit his ass out for a year or two to get what he wants. And he has money to go to court and get attorneys and handle his business. He forced that fight. He forced his promoters to do that fight, because if they didn't do that fight, he was going to take them to court. Then they were going to have to then explain to the court of law why this kid can't do this fight where he's going to get $30+ million or $20+ million of a fight of that magnitude. So that would be the same as Shakur saying that, hey, I'm going to take this route. I'm going to be willing to do to force my side to make this fight happen. Is he going to do that? Because Tank Davis' team, they'll do that fight. They'll do that fight, and when they talk about not taking a pay cut, no, he's not going to take a pay cut. And they're talking about percentile-wise. They're not going to take a pay cut. And when you say that Tank Davis, Showtime went out of business because they were paying lots of money to people like Tank Davis makes his money. Okay, Tank Davis gets low guarantees. He makes his money off his gates, and he makes his money off of pay-per-views. Okay, he actually earns his dollars. All these other fighters, most of them, they fight on what I call, EBT boxing. They're subsidized boxing. They're getting paid $3 million, $4 million, or whatever it is. They're off a budget. A budget that's given by the network for them to hold shows. They're not actually making money back off of those fights. They're not making money off of those fights. Top Rank didn't make any money off of any of Shakur Stevenson's fights. None of them. Top Rank didn't make any money off of that Devin Haney versus Lomachenko fight. You know what I'm saying? If it's true that Devin Haney is guaranteed $4 million, which is a whole lot less than the $6 million he said, and what's his name? And Regis Prograis is guaranteed $3 million. Realistically, they're probably not even going to make that money. But it's on a budget. It's a budget where they're getting that money and they're giving them to them, and they don't care if they take a loss. The zone is on the red in the billions. They're in the red every single year. Okay, that's completely different from what Tank does. So when you go and fight Tank, you're going to have to go by, the method that they use. With the fifth or the sixth highest grossing fight in the history of boxing, he only had a $5 million guarantee. Ryan Garcia only had a $2.5 million guarantee. That's nothing crazy. They literally made their money off off their sponsorship, off their gates, and off their pay-per-views. So when you come into that situation, they're going to say, hey, what are your gates? What are your pay-per-views? And you're going to get your cuts from that. That's just what it is. What's it called? Ryan Garcia, he got the cut he did because he did a 1.2 and he did a 1.4 million at the gate versus absolute nobodies. That's the type of numbers he was doing. And they can tell by analytics as far as the interest in him, what they're going to do. PBC's been very on point when it comes to their numbers. Even with the Crawford and the Earl Spence fight. Everybody was saying, that fight's going to do 1 million. They don't believe that black fighters can sell, and they don't believe that black fighters can do big numbers. And I've seen shows where people are trashing PBC for freaking weeks when they said that, that fight's going to do around 600,000. So that's what they believed it would do. With where Crawford was in popularity, where Earl Spence was popularity, they believed it would do around 600,000. And guess what? That's what it did. It didn't do the 1.2, 1.4 million everybody was saying. So it's not just on Tank. These other guys have to do what they got to do. Tank's the big name. So if y'all want to fight with him, you got to do what's necessary. And one of the things that you don't do is, quote, jump to another division and go up to all the way to 140 pounds and expect him to go up there. You don't say, oh, I'm not going to do that fight unless we get paid what Ryan got paid, which is $30 million. In the previous interview, you don't say, well, we're going to get paid $20 to $25 million, or we're not going to do that fight at all. Because the reality is they had no intentions on fighting him at all. That's it. And if you're going to say that, oh, you want to say that Tank is taking the lowest hanging fruit, yo, keep that same energy. Who the fuck has Shakur Stevenson fought? There's not a single person that Shakur Stevenson has fought that people would say had any chance whatsoever against Tank. If Tank had that exact same resume as Shakur has, he wouldn't get credit for none of them. For not a single fight. Period. And Devin Haney even. Let's be real. My last thing, and I'll be off. I know I've been off a little bit. With Devin Haney, let's be honest. Devin Haney was with Showtime. He was on that side that Tank Davis was on. He chose to then turn and boom, boom, and jump to the zone. When he was on the zone, that's when he started talking all that trash to everybody. Devin Haney, at the same time, talk about all this legacy stuff. The reality is, all the top guys were either at PBC or they were at Top Rank. If that's what he was about, he could have went directly to Top Rank. But what he did was he waited until Kambosos upset what's his name? Teofimo Lopez. After that upset happened, then he signed that deal with Top Rank because he saw it as easy pickings. Regardless what Greg didn't want to say, he saw it as what it was, easy pickings. He was a 4-1 favorite or whatever it was, or even higher than that for a reason. Won those two fights. Then he fought Lomachenko, who had lost to T already, who was out to war or whatever with his family. He came back. He had a trash performance. Okay, didn't look good in the fight where people think that he lost. Devin and his father had said that Lomachenko was past it and he was old and he wasn't the same fighter anymore until he was fighting him. Then all of a sudden, he was this great fighter. Then he fought him. And then when he had all these different options with Shakur, he could have taken that to purse bid and made that fight happen. He didn't make that fight happen. The other fight that we really wanted to see, let's be realistic, was a Lomachenko rematch. Okay? That's what we wanted to see. We didn't get that either. He didn't do what, and he wants to compare himself to Floyd. He didn't do what Floyd did, okay, and fight his Diego Corrales. He didn't do that with Shakur, another top 5, top 10 pound for pound fighter. That's legacy stuff. He didn't do that. He didn't fight Lomachenko where people are saying that Castillo, people are saying that you lost the fight and you do the rematch and you separate yourself from them. He didn't do that either. He had all the belts. He could have forced the fight with Teo, moving up in weight, being the super champion and being undisputed. He didn't do that. The WBO even asked him, hey, what's going on? Or do you want to compete for this belt? He only wanted to do it if Teo was retiring and that other dude was going to be, the guy he was going to be facing. So and he didn't want nothing with Matias. The one person he wanted was Regis Prograis, who looked like dog-ish in his last fight, who we saw had all kinds of problem movements. That's the person they chose to pick. So if you're talking about people picking the lowest hanging fruit, keep that same consistency, keep that same energy, because people can easily say this about Shakur. People can say this about what's his name. People can say this about Devin Haney as well. People can easily say that, so don't just say that. Like, be consistent, really actually be consistent. And don't just look at tank. No, look at the landscape. Look at how people actually do operate. We have years upon years of how Top Rank operates, decades upon decades. We know what they do, but then you want to close your eyes to it because it doesn't fit the narrative that you want, which is, let's just trash Tank. Let's just piss on Tank. Let's just piss on Tank, which is BS. But that's all I'm going to say, though. But as far as Fanon, no, he's not biased. He stays consistent. He doesn't just change things up so it fits what he wants it to fit. And if you're talking about gray areas or whatever it is, then have that same energy with everybody. And don't just close your eyes to the realities of how things work and the realities of how people are doing things. Just like with Devin. No one was ducking Devin. Top Rank had their way of doing things. They were going to get all the belts. And if Devin wanted to get involved, he had to be part of the team. And once he did, the fights happened. That's just what it was. You know, that's all I got to say, and y'all be good. Oh, yeah, and Greg, you too, man. I got a bone to pick with you, too.
What's going on?
Yo, with this whole Lomachenko, we're gonna brush Lomachenko off because he's going to his fight with Kambosos. So we're gonna praise Devin Haney because he went all the way to Australia to face his his like 4 or 5 to 1, the fight that he was a 4 or 5 to 1 favorite. We're gonna praise him for going and doing that particular bout, but then we're not gonna give Lomachenko the same credence for who's just coming off a major loss, by the way. He's coming off a big loss. We're going to trash him for going to Australia, the same place Devin Haney went to, and fighting the exact same person that Devin Haney fought? That doesn't make any sense to me. That seems kind of hypocritical to me.
When did we trash him? Because we didn't trash him. I said we weren't interested in seeing that fight. We never trashed him.
Yes, you did. You said it was a trash fight. You said you're not interested. If you're saying it and you just brush it off, like it was as if what he had to do was he had to fight Shakur Stevenson, but he's coming off a loss. Like, how can you blame him for not fighting Shakur Stevenson when, number one, he's coming off a loss? That's number one. Number two, Shakur Stevenson's coming off a horrible performance where if he's a stock, his stock just dropped like heavy, like 9/11 just happened and everything just crashed to the floor. That's what Shakur is. So why would he fight Shakur now when Shakur can have 1-2 fights and build himself back up? Lomachenko, who took a tough loss, he can get back on the right track. He can become a world champion again. Maybe have another fight and then fight. Just like when Lomachenko lost against Teofimo, he didn't just go fight Devin Haney. He went and had multiple fights, built himself back up, and when he finally did fight against Devin Haney, it ended up being a big fight that everybody actually was interested in.
But wasn't it Lomachenko?
So I don't.
Wasn't it But wasn't it Lomachenko that said he wanted the title and was interested in the in the opportunity to win a WBC title until it was Shakur Stevenson as his opponent, and then he didn't have interest in it? So all this stuff about everything that was going on back home, that wasn't an issue when it wasn't Shakur Stevenson.
It doesn't make sense for him to fight Shakur Stevenson right now. It doesn't make sense for either one of them to fight each other.
But that's
actually what he said was his hold on. His actual biggest goal is to become undisputed, right? So if he goes and gets the IBF belt, like why would you go directly to Shakur? This is what happens. If he goes directly to Shakur and he fights for the same belt that Shakur's fighting for, that leaves him in a position where those other belts could go other places. But if he goes and he gets a belt and Shakur gets the other belt, like right now they're both getting the 2 belts that there might be a question on if they can get or not. They're tackling both of those. The WBO is called what Bob orders for a reason. So that's going to end up with Top Rank. So he gets a belt. Shakur Stevenson gets a belt. Which one of them fights that other dude on a unification for the WBO, then he fights Shakur Stevenson. Where if he beats Shakur Stevenson, if he's able to do it, now he has 3 of the belts, and now he's in position to go try to push for that fight against Gervonta Davis for a massive payday. And for undisputed, like he did against Devin, because that's what he did before. He went and got the WBA. He got I believe it was the WBO. He went and did that whole thing where he was able to get the WBC. Then he went to fight Teofimo Lopez, who went out of that tournament and went and got the IBF. So he put himself into a position where then in a few fights where he could then fight for all the belts. If he fights Shakur, he's putting himself into a position where it could be very difficult to do that. And with him taking a loss and Shakur Stevenson, coming off a bad performance, how much money might necessarily be in that fight? So where you could just be patient. When does Kambosos fight? And then you can have the fight. And we're not talking years. We're literally talking months. Like they literally could be fighting each other by the summer.
That's perfectly fine. But what does that have to do with me not wanting to see a Lomachenko versus Kambosos fight? It's still a trash fight that I don't want to see, and I don't think that's going to be. It's not going to be a publicly driven fight, public demand fight. That's what I'm talking about.
It ain't.
It's just. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Tony, but it's not like it's not a fight that the people are demanding. That was always my point.
At the time, there was only one belt available. That was only one belt available. That was about that WBC. That was the only belt available, so that's why he should have fought Shakur. The other belt that him and Kambosos going to be fighting for
wasn't available
afterward.
Exactly. So he had the opportunity to face, and his energy changed.
They knew that, but they knew that belt was going to be available, though. They actually situated Kambosos to become the mandatory for that belt. So they knew that belt was going to be available. Dude, everything Bob Arum says, pretty much he knows what's happening. Even in everything that he usually says that's going to happen when it comes to like people that are part of his camp, whatever, usually does happen. When he said that when Lomachenko got the 2 belts and they're going to fight for the WBC, and they had like Devin Haney and all, because it was a DAZN event, so Devin Haney and everybody was over there, and he looked right at Devin Haney and said, "Yeah, you're going to be left out. You're not even going to be fighting for anything. You think you are, but you have no idea what's happening." Because like he had that much disrespect for Eddie Hearn. Was like, "You can't even know what I'm doing. There's nothing you can do to stop it." That's when he then sent Teofimo to go get the IBF. You know what I'm saying? So, like, so if he said that Devin Haney was going to 140, that's where he's going. That's where Devin Haney went. He went to 140 pounds. So, and he knew those belts were coming off. He knows Devin Haney's not coming back down. You know what I'm saying? He knows. You don't think that he knows that Devin Haney has an issue making weight? You don't think he was there when they had that private weigh-in where Devin Haney was basically having to be held up when they were walking through that door? He knew Devin Haney wasn't going to be fighting. He knew that, and he knew soon as Devin Haney, soon as that bout was over, trust me, within the next couple of weeks or so, they're going to be saying, "Hey, what's going on? Are you fighting or not?" So those belts can come off him. Because I don't think he actually did relinquish the belt. They're saying that he said he did, but he didn't actually send in the paperwork to do that. So he knew those belts were coming off of him. He knew the WBO was coming off of him, and he definitely knew that IBF was coming off of him. And that fight with Lomachenko has been set up for a while now. So they knew that they were going to have that IBF belt available and open for them. So I think that's why they were doing it. So they're still doing it in a strategic way where it helps what's in the best interest of their company. Those are 3 fights that they're going to be able to put on their network next year. They're going to be able to put Kambosos versus Lomachenko, which is still going to do 800,000 plus views on their thing, whatever. And, they're going to be able to put Shakur Stevenson versus somebody else that's going to do views, because Shakur does do views. And then whoever's getting that WBO belt, they're going to be able to do a bunch of fights on their network. And I'm not saying that I want these fights. I'm going by what Top Rank does, what their business model is, and what they do. So going by, because that's what I do. I don't go by this emotional shit about, what I want. I'm like, what do they do? How do they operate? How do they move? That's what I go by. So that's what they do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him taking on Kambosos coming off a loss like that. When you come off a loss like that, against a top of the line fighter like that, you don't need to go right into another top of the line fighter. You can take a bout or 2 versus lesser fighters and then go into a major fight. Even somebody like what's his name? Jesus, I'm not remembering people's names. The guy who beat Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, he got flatlined by Wilder, even though they let him get up and all that other stuff, whatever. He said hell no to a rematch. He went and got 2-3 other fights, then he came back. So I don't necessarily see there's anything wrong with him with Lomachenko doing that, just due to the fact that he did come off a massive loss like that. To go right into a Shakur Stevenson, that could be career-ending. Because regardless of what people say about Shakur with his last fight, man, hey, if his hand really was hurt, he could bust you up, and depending on what Lomachenko has left. So I don't necessarily, blame him for that. Yeah. But I still think it's hypocritical. I don't think people should have an issue with him going to Australia to fight Kambosos.
I feel you. Anything else you want to share?
No, that's it, man. Y'all have a good night. Be safe, and y'all keep doing y'all thing, man. Y'all doing real good when it comes to this boxing thing, and having another outlet like y'all, it's a great thing. So y'all keep doing y'all thing.
Man, appreciate it, Tunnel, man. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, Tunnel.
That was our guy, Tunnel Vision, and that's what's so great about the channel as far as I'm concerned, because I hear what Tunnel Vision is saying. I still disagree with him in regards to the whole Lomachenko, the whole situation with Lomachenko. I just felt like the timing in which he's talking about in terms of the IBF title becoming available, I don't think they actually knew that the IBF title was going to become available, because at the time, when you think about Devin Haney, they had just ended the negotiations with Shakur Stevenson, and then Loma was up next. And when he found out that Shakur was going to be the opponent, because he wanted the title at first, when he found out Shakur was going to be the opponent, he was out of there. So I felt like he did move up out of the rankings, and all of a sudden it became a situation about his family and all that other stuff. He didn't have a family issue before. I think if it would have been a different opponent, it wouldn't have been a family issue at that moment. So don't change your energy saying that you want the WBC title, but then when you find out Shakur, you go a different route. That's my only thing. Now, if he wants to make the argument that
also, no, go ahead. I'm a bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, if he wants to make the argument that that he shouldn't go into a really tough fight after that, he should do something different. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But Lomachenko at this stage, going over to face George Kambosos at this stage, is two different fights. It's for two different things. Devin was going over there to become undisputed and taking a risk and wasn't as proven at the moment. Lomachenko is a different fighter, and it's not for anything other than the IBF title that's basically being positioned for them two to fight for. I mean, and then just the matchup, two older guys. I'm just not thrilled to see the fight, and that's okay.
But Greg, get this. Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
So, if Dev hadn't given up the belts and stayed, would Loma have fought Dev then, or would he have just said he needs time to heal up and go with his family and everything?
Yeah, but he would have fought him because the opportunity to win the title and become undisputed. He's going to take that opportunity.
Yeah, that's one thing, right? He wants the opportunity to be undisputed. Another thing, he said he want to fight for a title. The title came up for Shakur. Also, he didn't have crap to say about him being put up back up number one after he lost to Dev when Shakur should have been number one. So, I mean, no, I don't get all that. I'm not that Loma sympathizer saying that, oh, it's okay for him to go here and go there and fight Kambosos and not Shakur. Nah. Mm-mm.
And I think Tono, maybe you didn't say this, but I almost feel like you kind of degraded Devin Haney's resume to a degree somewhere in that conversation, but then you're also giving Lomachenko the benefit of the doubt by saying that, okay, he can't go into a back-to-back tough fight with Shakur Stevenson. Then obviously Devin Haney was a real tough fight, and the only way you can judge how tough of a fight it was is based off of everything that Devin Haney has done, which is his resume. So, I mean, I just feel like all of it is it's some of it's going to be opinions, man. It just is. Jerry Soriano says, "Stop ducking me, son." Jerry, I'm not ducking you, man. It's all we already at the 2 hour mark. Sorry, we're already at the 2 hour mark, and we were actually supposed to go only maybe like an hour and 30 today. So Jerry, you got to get me. You got to get me on the next one. You got to get me on the next one, unfortunately. But I appreciate the $5, Jerry. You always welcome. We love chopping it up with you. But anyway, Jay, anything else you want to share with the people before we wrap this one up?
Nah, just upcoming fight this weekend. David Morrell's fighting. A barn burner of a hell of a rematch with Chris Colbert versus Raul in their rematch from earlier this year. I'm kidding. We're gonna see how that fight goes though. But yeah, that's this weekend. And of course, in 2 weeks, the big heavyweight matchups. Wilder versus Parker, Wallen versus AJ. Daniel Dubois versus Big Baby Miller. So we got some fights to end this year off right.
Yeah, should be good, man. So I appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys. Jay suffered through an hour, almost 2 hours now. He's sick. My wife is actually under the weather. That's part of the reason why I want to get off here as well. She has the flu. I need to go out there, get to the girls, make sure they haven't destroyed the house, and make sure she's good. So appreciate you guys for coming out. We will be dropping content tomorrow. Be on the lookout for some polls. If you haven't hit the like button yet, guys, please hit the like button as soon as you can. Make sure you hit the like button before you leave so that other people can find the replay of this. That's how we get subscribers. That's how we grow the channel. So every time you hit a like, people find this content and we continue to grow. So thank you so much. And until next time, peace.
Peace.